Hello everyone, welcome back to Data Science with Yash, and we're going to continue our discussion with respect to Python series. And in our last class, we have discussed about the loops and the nested loops along with some of the examples, programs, the most important programs, right? In today's session, we'll be discussing about the collection objects, and let's get started with this collection objects. Let us try to understand what collection objects are. So collection objects are the objects that can hold any number of arbitrary elements. Like these are objects, or you can tell as a containers, it can hold n number of like different types of arbitrary elements. And the collections or the container objects provides a way to access the elements and iterate over them. We can fetch the element, we can take out the element from that particular what we say container, and we can iterate over them, that is traverse over them, right? So within this collection or the containers, we have strings, we have lists, we have tuples, we have dictionary. And today our focus will be only on strings. We'll try to understand what the strings are and different types of methods that are there in the string, right? Let us get started with understanding how to create a string. Basically we already learned about what is a string and how do we create a string. So just a recap. So for single quotes, we can write a variable a and we are defining it through a single quotes, and we can check after printing this, we can see that it got printed, and we can also check the type of the string, the type of that particular variable, and we got the output as string. Str represents string, right? And here in this case, this is also a string. If there is a line, if there is a paragraph that is there within the quotes, single quotes or double quotes, we'll also be seeing that the string can be represented in double quotes as well. So when we are trying to print this, just a second. So when we are trying to print this, you can see here, this is also a string, right? And this is also a string, right? I know these are very basics, but we'll try to cover from the basics to advanced concepts. And then printing string. And note this point, in Jupyter Notebook, with just a string in a cell will automatically output the string. Like you can see here, we are just writing a string, and in the output we are able to get out the string, get the string. But the correct way to display the string in your output is by using a print function. This is not the ideal way, and this example represents you have given a string here, and there is one more string here, and the recently assigned one will be printed, right? And when you want to print both of this, you can use the print. You can assign this particular string to a variable, let's say a, and this as b, and you can write print a and print b, such that both of these strings get printed. Clear? So in this example, it is clear. You have taken a variable a and you assign 50, and then b 60, and then z equals to 70, and you are trying to write print a, print b, and print z and b. So this is the output. Clear? And next comes, you can use a print statement to print a string. As I said, you can use the print statement. So the first line represents hello world, and again, and this backslash n, which represents like here it tries to get into a new line. Clear? Once we see the output, it will be more clear. You can see here the first is hello world 1, and then hello world 2, and use 2 is there in this line, and when we have written slash n, it is trying to go to the next line, right? And I'm using this backslash n, it's printing a new line. Clear? And here simply I give print backslash n, so it is going to the next line. That is the reason we have space here, right? And the last one. Clear? Next is the basics of string. We have certain functions that can be used along the strings. The first is that we can use a function called len, which represents the length, right? To check the length of a string. So this is a string I've written Yashwant at the rate percentage 23, that is there in double quotes, and I want to know the length of this. So just by writing len before the string, you can get the length, and this length will include the special characters, the numbers, or even if there is a space, right? So this is the total count of the characters that are present in a string. So Python built-in length function counts all the characters in a string, including the spaces and punctuations. You can see here, including the spaces and punctuations. Clear? And comes the next most important concept in Python, and most important concept in strings and list. When you come to like go to the advanced topics, definitely this indexing will be helpful. So indexing is a process of referring an element of an iterable, and it can be a string, it can be a list, it can be a tuple, right, by its position called index. So the position of the element is nothing but it is the index of it represents the index of that particular character or the element, right? And in Python we use the brackets, that is square brackets, after an object to call its index. Clear? So we should also note that indexing will be starting at 0 from Python. So the first element or the first character starts with the index 0, and following that 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, so on. So the 0th index, we have to specify that in a square brackets, and we have to specify the index number, right? Which returns the 0th, that is the leftmost item in the list. Here you can see here, and in this particular variable is having name equals to Yashwant, and the very first, the leftmost is the y, right? And when I'm trying to call this, so you can see here, sorry, you can see here we are able to grab the first element or the first character from here, right? And similarly the second character, and this is obviously if 3 is specified, then you are trying to go from 0, 1, 2, 3, the fourth character or the fourth element. Clear? Right? So this example explains, so within a string, if there is a sentence or a paragraph, even there you can try to fetch the things. And here we have a concept called negative indexing as well. So from the leftmost, if we are trying to fetch, we try to write the positive numbers, and if it is from backwards, we try to write the negative numbers. Clear? So negative indexing is nothing but you are retrieving the element from back or the rightmost element. So I'm trying to print this, and then you can see here this n represent -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. So -5 is nothing but s. Clear? And the length of this is 31, and when length is 31, since the index is starting from 0, so the last element will have the index as 30, right? So I'm trying to print this. Clear? Here comes the negative indexing, as I told. So Python allows you to index from the end of the list as well, using a negative number, and the index position will be starting from -1, -2, -3, and so on. Clear? So as of -1, we'll try to print the last element. This is n, right? You can see here we have s1 as hello, welcome to Python session, and we have n. Clear? And the first element as h, and then it starts with -1, and then it goes, so we have length 31, so it is going to print h when we are giving this -31. Clear? And the slicing is more or less the same concept related to indexing, is a process of getting a subset of elements. And in indexing, we are going to get only a single element, and this slicing is a process of getting a subset of elements from an iterable based on their indices, right? So you have a string that is written hello, welcome to Python session, and what it does is it is more or less similar to range. We have spoke about range, right? Range function, we have start, we have stop, and we have step size. And similarly this is starting from the 0th index and it is going till the 5th, and definitely this is exclusive again. So let us try printing this. We have H E 0 1 2 3 and 4, right? It's starting from 0 and sending till the fifth element, that is O, right? And the similarly, this is nothing but like a range. You give a start position, you give a stop position, and you give a step size. And this step size is like this. Let's say the step size is n equals to 2 and n minus 1. It is going to skip n minus 1, 2 minus 1. That means one position. It is going to skip one position and give you the output. So it started with O, sorry, one 0th index, that is H, and then it skipped one element, and then L, and then it skipped one more L, and then it printed O. Clear? So this is what has been written here when you're specifying the step size. So that will be n minus 1 from the current position. Clear? And then we have a variable hello world, and we are trying to get the length of it, and it is 11. And I'm trying to print starting to end, but with a step size of 2, which means I'm skipping one element, right? H, L, started with H and then printed L and then O, and then this is skipped, and W, O is skipped, R, L is skipped, and D. Clear? And the next concept or the next example is, so when you're specifying, if you don't give the stop position, it takes all the characters. That is something you have to know. So I didn't specify the stop position. I simply gave 0 and then colon. What it does is it tries to print the entire characters that is present, entire elements. You can see here. And this simply writing the colon will also print all the characters. Clear? And double colon also represents the same. And here you're starting from minus 1. Minus 1 is nothing but the last element, and the last element, and then continuing further. So there is no further elements, right? So it is not going to print anymore, only a single character, right? So this n is minus 1, and then you give colon, but there are no further elements that are present, right? So that is the reason it is not going to print anymore. And then here you can see the starting colon is been given, which represents the entire except or till the position of minus 1. Till the position of minus 1 is like your, since it is given minus 1, excluding this it will print everything, right? So this is exclusive, right? That is the reason. And then you have given colon 2 is again you're trying to print everything but with a step size of 2. That means which in which you are trying to exclude one of the position. You can see here. Clear? So it is trying to, so it started with first character itself, skipped this E and then L, printed L, skipped this L and printed O, and skipped space W, skipped E, L, and so on. Clear? Yeah. And then here, this example represents, it grabs everything past the first terms all the way to the length of S, which is length of S1. So this example, what it says is you are starting with the element or the character at 5th position and you're trying to print everything. You can see here initially you have 0 1 2 3 4 and 5. You started off with this space and then you're trying to print the entire thing. Clear? And similarly here grabs everything up to the 3rd index. If you are specifying 4, this means this is exclusive, right? So you're trying to print till the 3rd index. Clear? And similarly grabs everything but the last letter, except the last letter. Clear? And we can also use index and slice notation to grab elements of a sequence by specified step size. The default is 1, and for instance we can use the 2 colons. That is what I have been given here. I already got the example, right? Colon 1 is printing with the step size of 1 there is uh, no living of any character, and then this is a step size of 2, and then this is again everything. It is colon minus 1 is like it is printing everything but in a reverse order or the backward. Clear? And then comes the string properties. It is important to know that strings have an important property which is known as immutability, and you have to understand this term immutability, which means that once a string is created, the elements within it cannot be changed or replaced. For example, we'll try to go to the example. So I have specified a variable called name, and I've given the value as Yashwanth as a string. And then when I'm trying to print the first character, I'm able to get this Y. And now I want to convert this Yashwanth into starting with J, Jashwanth. When I'm trying to print this, you can see here this error tells string object does not support the item assignment. This means once you have created a string, you're not able to change further. You're not able to change the character further. This proves that the string is immutable. Clear? That is what I have written here. Strings have an important property which is known as immutability. This means that once a string is created, the element within it cannot be changed or replaced further. Clear? And the next is concatenation of string. Is nothing but when you are trying to combine one string with the other. So this is the example. I've created a string welcome, and then I'm adding the space, and then I'm given the name. Let's see here. And this example, initially I have, so here I specified this name variable with Yashwanth. So when I'm trying to concatenate this string with the name, I'm able to get welcome Yashwanth. And now I want to change this. I want to reassign the variable. So I've taken the same variable name equals to name plus space and welcome. I'm trying to print this. You can see Yashwanth welcome, right? And then the next concept is we can use the multiplication symbol to create the repetition. Let's say I have a letter Y and I want to like multiply this, or I want to get the output 10 Ys. So I'm trying to print this. You can see here I'm able to multiply but not division. Cannot divide a letter, right? So this is the concept. And then comes the basic built-in string methods. We're going to discuss very few methods, and I'll also try to give you give you more methods on which you can work. So let's get started with the string methods. So I have a string and I've defined a variable s equals to data science with Yash. And when I'm trying to run this, see here it got printed. And the first method is s dot upper, and then you're trying to print. So what it does is it tries to convert all the characters or all the elements into capital, right? And here similarly s dot lower. These are the methods that are used along with the variable you have given. S dot lower. These are what methods? Clear? S dot lower. And next comes split. Split a string by blank space. I'm trying to split these particular string where there is a blank space. Clear? S dot split, and I within the this inverted comma I've given the space. So just a second. So s dot split. You can see here this got splitted where there is a space. This is this as one element, and this is one element, and this is one element. Clear? And next comes the another important method, s dot split. You're trying to split on the basis of space again. Clear? And then this example, s dot split, you can split through any character also. You can see here data, and then you have s c. Where there is a c, you're trying to split that. This is entirely a single. So this is entirely a single, and then en and then this is one thing and this is the other element. Clear? So there are many more methods than the one we have covered here. We have strip, we have strip, we have lower up and upper were already been discussed. We have replace, split has also been discussed. Capitalize, we have count, we have index, we have find, we have is alpha numerical, is digit, is lower, and is upper were also been discussed. So that's it. These are the important methods you have to know about the string, right? As we move ahead, we'll be using all these methods that are present in the string, right? And you also have this working file that is attached, that is there in the description. You can download from there and work on these examples. Clear? And if you have any further clarification, if you need any further clarification on these topics, feel free to leave a comment below, or you can reach out to me on social media. And there is a link that has been provided. I'll be active in Instagram as well, right? So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.